All right, and we're back with another episode of the Scotty Knows Show. We're back with some interviews. Our interview this week is with Jared Lindbloom. Is that how you pronounce it?
You got it, man. That's it.
All right. Jared, for those that don't know who you are, can you say a little bit about yourself?
Certainly. Yeah. Jared Lindbloom. I grew up on the beautiful prairies of South Dakota. And at the tender age of, I think I had just turned 21. I was around the 2021. Moved out here to the East Coast, where I have now resided for the last almost half of my life. So about 17 years here. Music has always been a big part of my, my thing. And I come from a musical family. My parents, they appreciate music but don't play it. And so, there was a little music shop called A&Z Music on
Okay.
Sioux Avenue in Pierce, South Dakota. And I remember I got a Takamine acoustic guitar for my 14th birthday and got a VHS tape because I'm dating myself a little bit to learn chords. And the first song I remember learning after many calluses and, fat fingers later on the fretboard, I learned Wild Thing.
Ooh.
And so, on an acoustic guitar, it doesn't have the meat and, that you would expect from the song. But I remember like running upstairs from the basement, like pausing the VHS tape and running upstairs and like, check it out. Look what I can play. And parents were like, way to go. And I don't think they thought it was going to last more than, a few weeks, but the long winters of South Dakota certainly made for a lot of time in the basement learning, different chord shapes and trying to play songs. And writing songs didn't really come until probably a few years later when I formed a band with some of my buddies in high school.
That was pre-Guitar Hero days, so you didn't have
Yeah.
any video games to teach you how to somewhat play guitar.
Right. I
Um,
know. I do feel like I missed out on that whole thing. But yeah, maybe Guitar Hero maybe would actually make me a better guitar player because I'm still not a very great guitar player by any means.
you live in, was it New York now?
Yes, I'm in the New York area. I live actually right across in the shadow of New York, New Jersey. It gets a bad rap. I feel like I love coming from underdog states, whether it's South Dakota or New Jersey. But I lived in New York for quite some time, over 10 years, and now have made New Jersey my home for a bit with raising a family and more space and just not the absorbent prices that New York City holds. But yeah, it's still
Yeah.
right there, stone's throw away. So feel very fortunate and lucky to be so close to the action when I need it.
I know this is, typically on the show, we talk a little bit about sports. I'm not sure how big of a sports guy you are,
I mean,
but
oh no, go. I
uh,
guess I feel like South Dakota, you always have to default to a pro team, whether it's the Vikings, the Packers, or
yeah,
the Broncos. And I know I'm probably going to catch some flack for this, but I grew up loving the Raiders because Bo Jackson. I love Bo Jackson.
ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
So I know Raiders fans can be, it's pretty mercurial with how people react to them. But yeah, I thought Bo Jackson was awesome, and I got into him because of a cousin of mine who's older. And I thought Bo was super cool with his like multi sports, being able to play multiple sports and what have you too.
Well, you'd be surprised at how many Raiders fans there are in this state. But as far as you know, you said living in New Jersey, does New Jersey kind of claim the Jets and the Giants because they play in East Rutherford?
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like New Jersey, it's such a good question because geographically they are not playing in New York State. But New Jersey, not that I really know of. I feel like most New Yorkers, they're they're either diehard Jets fans or diehard Giants fans.
Hmm.
And yeah, people from New Jersey, I really have not gotten the sense that they have taken a big ownership of those teams. There's the Devils for hockey. There's diehard Devils fans, but I feel like, yeah, it's more just, it's like a nice thing to go do, but I could also be completely wrong on that because I'm not really fans of either the Giants or the
Yeah.
Jets. So it's a really good question. I feel like I need to explore that more with maybe some of my New Jersey football loving buddies.
I know that people in New Jersey were kind of upset when the Nets got taken from them and moved to Brooklyn.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
that was definitely, yeah. I know that was kind of a big thing. I just feel like, yeah, the Meadowlands Stadium that the Jets and the Giants play at. It's a great stadium and really fun to see games there. I feel like I don't hear a lot of people from New Jersey being like, yeah, I'm like going to a Giants or Jets game today.
you,
As much as I would hear them saying like, oh, I'm going to like a Devils game today type thing, like kind of claiming that ownership more.
you know the rumor about the Meadowlands, right?
Uh, Please enlighten me, Scott.
Um, Supposedly Jimmy Hoffa is buried underneath the Meadowlands.
With a pair of concrete galoshes.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like I've definitely heard that. And I've heard that he could also be, there's an area called Elizabeth, New Jersey, that's like super
Yep.
kind of industrial wasteland. And so I've heard both those things. But yeah, I mean, it's, I know the Meadowlands, it was tough, I think, to build that stadium because of the, it's like kind of like on like a sinkhole, so to speak. So like
Yep.
environmentally, it was like not the most secure thing to do. And then just like the environmental impact on it. But maybe it was really the mafiosos being like, oh, I really don't want you to find Hoffa's body. Ultimately.
um, now we'll return to our regularly scheduled music talk.
Right on.
um,
That was a great dirge. I like that. That was great.
yeah. Um, when you said, you have a family and, you also write songs and perform music. How do you balance that?
Hmm. That's a really great question, Scott. I feel like I'm always trying to find that balance, and as so much so that, and we can get into this later, but my album that I'm kind of teeing up to release in 2022 is called Balance, and it kind of
Ooh,
ties into. So yeah, it's actually great that you asked that question, because I feel like the precarious balance of trying to be a present, aware father, husband, and fulfill those duties first and foremost. That's like my main, thing. I want to make sure I'm there for my child and for my wife, in every capacity possible. And then also, the other side of that is like the making money thing. Music doesn't really make a lot of money. So like I have found you always have to be somewhat underemployed to be a musician, I feel like. And so I've always worked jobs in the service industry that gave me flexibility. And then through that got into consulting. I did consulting for a long time. And now and then the whole time trying to figure out how I can kind of work remote even prior to the pandemic, when, remote work became kind of the thing and the standard. So, up into just trying to find that balance of like, how much do I dedicate to music to not blow up the rest of my life? Because music is certainly the kind of witchy muse that continues to always whisper in my ear. And I love to write it, I love to play it, I love to perform it. And it can feel very like ego driven, so I have to always kind of check myself and be like, how much am I dedicating to this right now, and how much of it is serving other people? Because ultimately I my goal is to that I'm making music to serve the listenership, so that they hear something and it resonates with them, and maybe they don't feel so alone in the world. There's like a connectivity there, through the music. And so yeah, that balance, to answer your question, Scott, I am continually trying to walk that tightrope. It's not easy. It's not easy. Working from home helps because I'm able to take my daughter to school in the morning, get her to activities, do my work. I just started working for a really cool music company. And so I'm going to have to kind of figure out what that new balance looks like now, being more of a full-time employee, but it's still tying into all the music. So I'm hoping it all works synergistically in that sense.
is that some child art that I see behind you?
Let's see here. Which one here? Let's
I,
just
I, I
take a
I'm
scroll.
Okay, I'm looking at that right there.
This is actually my daughter's, like, she's kind of considering it like her little aria, like her book that she like
Okay.
sings from. There's actually a video I just did with her that was super off the cuff, on the spot. I do these kind of weekly episodes called PHM in the morning, PHM being the shorthand for Pink Honey Moan. And we're up here in the music studio, and typically she is like very critical of like any music I show her, and so I know that's like a good it's like a good barometer, right? If she doesn't like within the first 5 seconds be like stop, then I know I might have something. So we're up here in the Starship Wagoneer studio one night, after bath. She like wanted to play something on piano. She's always singing. She brought that thing up that looks like child's art, and was like pretending that was her music book. And then I was like, oh, do you want to, do something on the piano? And she like, I was like, what key is that? Okay, F. And I got the guitar, and we just kind of like wrote a song on the spot. And I
Oh my
got
God.
I got it recorded. It's the Pink Honey Moan in the Morning episode. I think it might be 2 ago, maybe the 33rd or 34th episode. Anyway,
Okay.
it's all on YouTube, but it was like a
Okay.
really special, tender moment with my daughter. So yeah, I hope. My wife is also a super talented musician. And yeah, I'm still trying to like, get the band together, so to speak, the family band. So maybe I got to get my daughter on drums though, because I cannot carry a beat to save my life.
What kind of instruments do you play? I mean, I see a bunch of guitars. I see the keyboards there in the background.
Yeah, I would say I play, cowboy chord guitar. I'm not a shredder, but it's enough to write, and I can sing and play. I know that was something that can take some time to do, of like kind of that separation of like voice and limbs. And then my piano work is very rudimentary, very boxy chords. I played keys in bands in my 20s, but I always played like synth keys, so it allowed for
Ooh.
that kind of like sustained notes when I could find, if I knew the key, I could at least find, the structures I needed. But piano for me is really a writing tool, and I use it a lot to write with. And if you've heard some of my recent songs, I'll like I'm Running Up the Hillside, or even Closer to You from 2019. I'll, a lot of times I'll start on guitar and be like, oh, it's just not quite the tone, or like the modality I want for it. So I'll then go to the keyboard or the piano and just like really kind of just hold the sustain pedal and like find the notes there and work my melody and lyrics into it. And then what I'll do is hire a professional to actually play the piano on the proper recording of it. So
Um, when you kind of introduced yourself, you kind of got into this. You kind of taught yourself a little bit how to play some of these instruments. Um, who are some of your musical influences? Would you say?
yeah, I mean, I guess singer-songwriters are definitely at the heart of my influences. My parents had some of their 78 vinyl records growing up, whether it was like Joni Mitchell, her Blue album like really inspired me. Carole King, Jackson Brown, Warren Zevon, Bill Withers, Paul Simon. And then those are obviously all like kind of legacy artists, but there's tons of amazing singer-songwriters from these days too. I mean, I feel like nowadays, you hear a lot of songs that are super produced on the radio, which is great. But when you strip all that back and you take somebody like, say, I don't know, Phoebe Bridgers, for example, like that she can play that on a guitar with her voice and be just as captivating when you strip away all the kind of production value of it. And I think that's like what really I like the most, is that kind of like super raw, organic, just like, can you grab a guitar, kind of almost campfire session, and just like play a song and like have it be, captivating enough with just a voice and guitar, and memorable enough. So yeah.
I've heard a lot about Phoebe Bridgers. I've never actually given her a listen or anything. Is she good? Like,
You
she
know,
seems like she's growing in popularity.
good is so subjective in music. I like her a lot. I
Okay.
feel like I've kind of tired on some of I mean, I'm like the king of sad dad rock, but I feel like she's but she's kind of like the queen of like sad girl autumn rock. I
Okay.
guess you could say pop. So at a certain point, I think it's, everything music for me, at least, in that subjective nature, is like, the mood you're in. So I feel like
Yep.
she really ignited, or like, she's been working at her craft for a long time and it shows, but I feel like she really, there was like this huge kind of like rocket ship that she was able to get on in the pandemic with like the release of her album Punisher, and just like what we were all going through as a collective society and world globally. Her songs just really spoke to, I think, like this vulnerable, unknown nature of what we all felt from the pandemic. And it certainly resonated with me, and I still really like her a lot. She's also been super smart about collaborating with like other artists. I know she just collaborated with, or at least like did a show with like Olivia Rodrigo, who obviously has like
Oh
driver's
yeah.
license. I mean, like, so Phoebe Bridgers, super talented, I think also very savvy, and also just has like a this like kind of razor sharp wit, and kind of like, can I swear on this or no?
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. And like, it's kind of like, just like this kind of like fuck you attitude. Like she like totally told off David Crosby on Twitter, and people love that. You know, people love seeing like this, like, you know, seemingly like nice, you know, cute, talented woman, you know, like tell like this old man like fuck you, for because
Yep.
he got mad at her for smashing her guitar, which, yeah, David Crosby, you know, like, come on, man, like,
Yeah.
let her have her moment. Come on, dude. I don't know.
Um.
Anyways, yeah. So yeah, Phoebe Bridgers, definitely give her a listen. I mean, she's just one example. Like, have you been, who you been listening to lately, Scott? Was anybody that's on your radar?
You know, basically anything that comes out that's new that I notice, I'm like, oh, okay, I should listen to that. So I do. I listened to Adele's new album,
Mhm.
and a lot of it feels, and I mean this in the most positive of way, because I
Mhm.
don't try and slander any sort of artist. It feels very lounge singery, and I kind of dug it a little bit.
I hear that. Yeah, I hear that, man.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Um,
Yeah. I
but
That song. I'm sorry.
by the way, Phoebe Bridgers was on the new Taylor Swift album.
That's also,
That's
yeah.
yeah.
Yep. And I actually, after I said Olivia Rodrigo, then I was like, oh yeah, and she obviously was with like the biggest pop star in the world,
Hmm.
Taylor Swift. So yeah, she's kind of going back to my point. She's just very smart and savvy when it comes to her collaborations, and people want to collab with her because she is talented.
But by the way, when we were talking about music influences, I fully expected you to say James Taylor for some reason.
You know what? That was a oversight on my part. James Taylor, definitely. I love James Taylor. I feel like I need to dig more into his catalog. You know, like
Yeah.
he has so much amazing stuff, and I just love the way he, you know, wears his heart on his sleeve and kind of can talk about his hardships through, you know, message and melody. And yeah, granted, I've, you know, never been a junkie or an
Hmm.
addict like he is. And, you know, I feel awful for anybody that is in that state, but I mean, for him to be able to synthesize his experiences into, you know, heart in his sleeve songs is incredible.
Um. So, Pink Honeymoon.
Yes.
Where'd that name come from?
So, I mean, of course, a name, you know, I feel like it means something to me, but on paper to somebody, it looks, you know, different. And in this case, it looks salacious and raunchy. And in a way, it kind of works, because like with anything in entertainment or trying to just like get yourself seen, heard, rise above the noise, how do you do that? So in part, the name, the origin story, it comes from, I can name the date because I actually have an Instagram post from my personal Instagram account. It comes from February 14th, 2013. I was living with my then girlfriend, now wife, in Soho in Manhattan, in this little
Oh yeah.
small apartment. At the time, she was in college, and she was commuting up to the Bronx for school, but she wanted to live in the city. She grew up in New Jersey and wanted to live in the city. So, and I was actually living in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, which, you know, at that time was the mecca of music and everything else, and living with my bandmates. But anyways, I digress. Sorry. The origin story of Pink Honey Moan. Yeah, February 14th, 2013. I'm, you know, dating my girlfriend, and pretty much staying at her place most nights of the week, or she'd come over to Brooklyn and stay with me. We both worked in the service industry. We both feel and felt like Valentine's Day is an amateur holiday, at least when it comes to this, when it comes to the service, and especially when it comes to the service tree, Scott.
Okay.
I mean, I guess, and I think just an amateur, people would come in and do this big lavish thing on February 14th. And it's like, all right, I showed my love for the year to you type thing. It's like, no, show love every day, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of, not only being, I guess, not making a lot of money and trying to kind of like save some money, but also just because it's an amateur's holiday, we're like, let's just get a bottle of wine and some takeout from our favorite place, like in lieu of a gift. So, I didn't like write her a formal holiday or a Hallmark card. So what I did is I had like an early event that morning. I worked at a hotel and had to work early events sometimes. Sorry, I'm getting to the story.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine.
and she had these refrigerator magnets. And so we would always like spell out like little like love notes, like see you later, love you, what have you. And I just happened to, in my kind of bleary eyed state at 6 a.m., put up, I worship your pink honey moan. And that was, I mean, I guess it was like the most romantic thing I found within that, like, tin of refrigerator magnets. And I was like, that's kind of cool. Like, it's going to let it be. I'm gonna like, I hope she sees that. And she texted me later and she's like, thanks, babe. Like, that's a great band name. I was like, oh yeah, it is. And her being a musician and stuff, like, I think the first time I ever kind of like formally introduced music into that name was we had done a cover of The National have a song called I Need My Girl.
Yeah.
And they were doing a contest for Valentine's Day. I think it might have been either that year or the next year. And we just did like a little recording. It's actually still on YouTube, like way down in my videos of us doing a cover together. And I introduced it as Pink Honey Moan, I Need My Girl cover. And so then it kind of, that like stayed the name. At the time, I was still actually playing in a band, which was Fish Doctor, and then became Stargazy. So Pink Honey Moan was kind of always like my name that I was keeping reserved for like my own, I guess, solo stuff. And yeah, that's the I guess origin story of Pink Honey Moan.
Oh, okay. But by the way, as a New York Knicks and New York Rangers fans and a lover of things that deal with Barstool Sports, don't be surprised when I know everywhere that you're talking about as far as like New York geography.
Oh, I love it, man. That's awesome. Heck yeah. I was actually gonna say, I feel like I thought maybe you were an East Coaster that came to the Great Plains. I wasn't sure.
No, I know about all these different places in New York because, listening to people who live in Brooklyn. I roomed with a guy who worked for this company called Intoxilock. And then he moved to New York, to the New York office, to work in the New York office. And it's basically, a place where, like, if you ever get like a DUI, which first of all, never do.
Right.
If you ever get one, they put like little things in your car that you have to blow into in order to be able to drive. And
I got it.
Okay.
Got you. That's okay. Yeah. No,
yeah.
That's definitely a good safeguard for sure.
Yeah.
It's nice.
I am aware there's something there called Lomo Saltatos, which is like it's a type of dish that you can find in New York somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it might be Jamaican or Brazilian or something.
Okay. Nice, man.
Yeah. So look that up. It's basically fries and gravy.
Heck yeah. Kind of the southern
poutine.
Yeah. Lomos. What is it again?
Lomo Saltatos, I believe. Yeah,
Heck yeah.
it's just it's a type of dish. It's not like a name of a restaurant or anything. It's just a type of dish.
I love it,
So,
man. That's
um,
very cool.
yeah. So,
I'm oh, sorry.
sorry. Running up the hillside. That's your song. You're kind of promoting, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That's the latest release. Mhm.
what was the songwriting process for that like?
Yeah, that one is interesting because it actually was something I penned while living in Soho with with my now wife. I wrote that in initially the kind of impetus of it was 2015. And then I had the line, if you've heard the song, that line, like, remember me from high
Yep.
school. Um, and when I'm songwriting, a lot of it's just like stream of consciousness, like just trying to get something that kind of like feels, good from the cosmic soup. And that happened to spill out. I remember like kind of cringing, being like, "Oh, remember me from high school? Like, who the hell? Like, who am I? Like, why am I saying that?" And so I kind of shelved the song, and I think I got it up to the point where it was like a very rough cut, like demo of me like recording it on my phone with like at one point a guitar, and then I switch it to piano, as I a lot of times do, singing over it. And then I just had it kind of like in the archives in my hard drive graveyard. And then I started working with a producer in 2019 after having gone to a music conference in Los Angeles. And this guy who's a friend of mine now and a fantastic music producer and musician in his own right, John Kleinbell. He and I hit it off really well. He's like a Midwest guy himself from Illinois. And just we started chatting, saying like, hey, let's work on some stuff together. So I initially did Closer to You with him in 2019. And then it's like, that song felt so good to me. And like, I thought it had such a good reception. So I was like, I want to do some more tunes with you. Running Up the Hillside was one of like the songs he plucked out of the, I don't know, 50 to 100 just chicken scratch work tapes I sent him. So there was something there. And like, I think I kind of even said, I was like, oh, we should scratch that line. Remember me from high school. He's like, no. And he's like, that's like what drew me into it. So it's always funny, like those things that maybe I shy away from because it feels too, I don't know, vulnerable, or like I'm exposing some part of myself. I mean, that's really what good songwriting should be always, because then that allows, I think, the listener to access that part as well. So yeah, the song 2015, we slated it right before the pandemic. I was out in Los Angeles in February of 2020 for a work trip at the time, and was able to work and was able to get in some session time, some studio time with John in LA. And we finished the song, and he sent me the song kind of like, I don't know, right as the world changed. So it was a song that went through a lot of kind of just like incubation and marination, and just ultimately got to a point where, I guess could share it with the world here in October of 2021. So a long time coming, a 6-year songwriting journey,
Wow.
which I don't like to typically I feel like I don't really like wear that as a badge of honor, because I want to be more prolific, but it does feel good that I think I let that song especially kind of like have that time to mature, because then singing from the place I am now when I recorded it, just felt more genuine, more authentic as time has passed.
Yeah, it's kind of a story of kind of like never giving up there. Just the songwriting process there.
Yeah.
Um, in the I think it's a lyric video. There's a lot of rollerblading.
Yeah.
Um, and I just have to wonder. First of all, where did you get rollerblades? I mean, I feel like rollerblades haven't been a thing since like maybe late '90s, early 2000s.
Well, if you live in New York City, there's still the mighty underground rollerblading force that people do still. I feel like if inline skating, rollerblading, so the video itself, to reference the lyric video for Running Up the Hillside, that video is actually the scenes that I used are from a 1993 movie called Airborne. Um,
Oh,
and so the movie is this really cool kind of, I feel, cult classic movie that my buddies and I, who were big rollerbladers in the 90s, used to watch and just like be super jazzed about. And it's like all about, like, the end scene is like, I think, one of the greatest kind of like chase scenes, or not even chase scenes, because it's, you know, it doesn't involve like a car chase from the 70s, but like one of the greatest just like sequences, because it's like these guys rollerblading what's down a hill called Devil's Backbone. It's all about like this kid who is like a transplant from California living with his cousin. He's like this cool California surfer guy who rollerblades. And then all like the like local dudes are like super kind of like, who's this guy coming in trying to like take our girls, and like be, you know, hair flipping with his cool California surfer style self. And so I took scenes from that. You know, I collaborated with a buddy of mine who's like this video editing whiz, Darren Lapari, shout out to him. He was able to take it and do a reverse edit. And so it really felt just like the perfect marriage of like visuals and audios with the song, because it's these guys rollerblading backwards up this hill, running up the hillside. It's like this guy who's like trying to like, you know, just like, I guess, kind of prove himself the way I'm trying to like prove myself as a songwriter in the sea of noise. And I think it even like harkens further back to like this feeling of like, I'm from South Dakota, like what do I have to say? And us as like South Dakotans are like, I think, very you know, humble people that don't want to like promote, and self-promotion is such a huge thing in music. And I've had to like really work at like being a better self-promoter, because nobody's going to care about your music as much as, you know, as much as I do, nobody's going to care about my music as much as I do. So it's kind of all these things tying into this theme of like, yeah, just like, you know, and then kind of like you always wind up back where you started. And like in the lyric video, like they're at the start line after having gone through like this whole like arduous downhill race battle. And, you know, in a similar theme, like I always find myself kind of coming full circle back to where I started, and like, why did I get into music? What's my why? Well, because I want to share songs and melody and the message. And I do know that I have something to offer now, being from South Dakota, because that perspective is, I think, unique in the world. You know, I'm not some rich kid from Westchester, New York, who has like you know, a trust fund to dip into. I have to like really work at it. And yeah, so I just went off like on a huge tangent there. I
oh no,
apologize.
it's fine. It's fine.
But, so yeah, but your initial question was just yeah, the lyric video. If you have a chance, check out the lyric video. And if you haven't seen Airborne, I'm pretty sure you can get it on Amazon Prime. And
Okay.
it's just like, I mean, I think the movie still holds up. It has like a very young Seth Green, and also Jack Black. I think it was his very first
Oh
like
my
feature
God.
film. So Jack Black, it plays this like bully in it. And he's like, I don't know, it's just really cool. The movie itself, I think. And like, I always really identify with this guy, Mitchell, who's the lead character. And he just had like this like kind of chill, like, you know, like let it roll off your shoulder. People are going to come around. I feel like I really identified with that. And I still really identify with it, so much so that I actually reached out to the actor who played Mitchell. His name is Shane McDermott. And
Okay.
he is now, in just the wild, woolly world that we live in, he got out of acting. I found him through, I think, LinkedIn. Ultimately,
Wow.
I Google searched him. I was like, you know, IMDb. Okay, Mitchell was played by Shane McDermott. And then I was like, okay, well, Shane McDermott, Google. Oh, he's now a real estate agent in Galveston, Texas.
Really?
so I reached out to him. I found his like email. I was like, hey man, I'm like, sorry, I'm emailing your, you know, your real estate email account. And I know this is super unorthodox, but I just wanted to let you know like how much the movie you made, Airborne, means to me, so much that I like used it in my new song. And just like, you know, I sent him kind of early sneak peek of the lyric video before it was released. And he got back to me, like, which was really cool of him. I mean, he could have totally been like, this guy's off his rocker, like trying to reach out to me, but he was like, hey man, I love it. I'm so happy that the movie inspired you, like keep up the good work. And I was like, that's that was awesome. Just to like get the kind of like bit of approval, from him and somebody that I feel like I looked up to, having watched that movie when I was a kid. It just like that full circle moment kind of coming back to be like, wow, like I'm now making art that like he is not maybe inspired by, but like, appreciates. So it was cool.
We're talking about rollerblading, and I think you and I had a conversation about this. I think when the video was released. I'm a big Brink guy.
Yeah.
I love Brink, and me and my usual co-host, who he works in like the Forest Service or something out in the hills. But he was like, dude, if Eric Von Detten made a movie today, you would totally watch it. I'm like, you're probably right. You're probably right.
It's so funny. And he, in a similar sense, Eric Von Detten and Shane McDermott, I feel like they both had this like really big, meteoric, I guess, I don't even know if it's meteoric. Maybe Eric Van Detten more, but like they were like this like it kind of like actor for a bit, and then they were just like all right, like this life is not for me. I love Eric Van Detten too. I'm trying to think some of his other. I know he was in like Princess Bride with Anne Hathaway. My daughter and I just watched that the other day, and then he was in something else that I always. He plays Sid in Toy Story.
Yep.
But it's funny because I looked him up not that long ago either, because I'm always kind of like, oh, it's so interesting that these people had these like, these kind of cult, like Brink absolutely love that movie. So I know you would love Airborne. But yeah, just like, they had these like very kind of classic cult movies that like still stand the test of time. It's like, where did they go? Like, but yeah, that life just wasn't for them. They're like, all right, I played my cards, and now I want out of the kind of Hollywood, meat grinder, so to speak.
I know it's not rollerblading, but there is a movie from the late 80s called Gleaming the Cube.
Dude.
And
Yes.
I mean, you have Christian Slater it was like one of his first big starring roles, but the best supporting actor in the movie by far is like a 14-year-old Tony Hawk.
Oh my God, man. I'm so happy you mentioned that movie. That movie. So I have like 3 cult movies that like I absolutely love. Gleaming the Cube, 1987. Also another 80s movie, The Monster Squad.
Oh yeah,
Which,
Wolfman Has Nards. Yep.
dude, one of my absolute favorite movies. Probably watched it when I was like a little too young. It was maybe a little inappropriate, but like I just love that movie my whole life. Wolfman has no nards. And then or Wolfman does have nards.
Yep.
And then Airborne. I feel like I'm so excited that you mentioned Gleaming the Cube, because I like just that movie like still holds such a bright light in my like box of nostalgia, man. I just love it.
Oh yeah. I almost did a regular part of the show thing for this, but I just bought 2 different movie trilogies, but they're both from the same kind of genre.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I collect movies, basically. I collect them all on DVD just in case a streaming service goes down. You need a DVD.
Absolutely.
One is I did not know that there was 3 of these. Lost Boys.
Oh, wait, there's 3 with Kiefer and the crew?
Kiefer's in the first one. I believe Feldman is in the other 2.
I had no idea there was I had no idea there was 2 more.
I didn't either. I was like, what?
Do they hold up? What do you think?
I have not watched them. I'm really weird when I watch movies. I have them in a stack, and I have them separated by runtime, like
nice,
scheduled by runtime. So the Lost Boys is next after I get done with my 5 Christmas movie classics.
'Tis the season, Scott.
And then the third one is the Blade trilogy.
Oh, nice.
Right. There's something about Wesley Snipes, saying motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill. There's something about that I just
I
love.
should have dropped that in as like a little voiceover on my lyric video. Shit.
Yeah.
That is so classic, man. And yeah, and Jeff Bridges, right?
Yep.
Is yeah, I mean, just like, oh my god, and like his musical kind of trajectory too is like incredible. Jeff Bridges.
It's Chris Christopherson.
Chris Christopherson. Shit, it's been a second. Chris Christopherson's yeah, just like his, I mean, influences 100% Chris Christopherson as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome. Well, that's some good viewing that you have lined up there, Scott.
Trust me, I have like 50 movies down there. Just
I
like,
love it.
yeah, like the final one is like a 10 movie pack of Tom Cruise movies that has Collateral in it, and I've never seen Collateral, and I want to see Collateral.
Jamie Foxx?
Yep, I want to see that so bad.
Good. It's good. Jamie Foxx is just so amazing, and I like Tom Cruise aside from all his, I don't know, trying to separate the person from the actor. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. One Track Tuesdays, I believe that's a thing that you do on your. Yeah. What exactly does that mean?
So yeah, that's I know you're part of the group, my street team, the Honeymooners. It's kind of like my play on the old show, the Honeymooners, and it's kind of like, come on board the Honeymooners, get on the musical, cruise ship to, yeah, let's set sail. But yeah, the One Track Tuesday, since today is Tuesday, I know I just put it up earlier. It's all about just like a way to share what you're listening to. I feel like, we all, music is like a part of, I mean, I think everybody enjoys music in some capacity, and we all listen to it, whether it's on a streaming service or a vinyl, or, I know cassettes are coming back around too, or CDs, but it's just a way to say like, hey, like, if you're listening to something right now, like, I would love to hear it. Maybe it's something I've heard, maybe it's something I haven't, but I'm always feel like there's just so much music out there that, like, me as one person can't, dig through it all. It's like really nice to have like a collective, and that's what One Track Tuesday is about, is just saying like, hey, if you got something been digging, please share it. And it's just like becomes this really beautiful little thread within the Facebook group, the Honeymooners. And then, if I'm ever like wanting to hear something new, I just type in that hashtag in the search bar, and like all the One Track Tuesdays come up, and I can be like, oh dang, like that's a cool song, or like I hadn't heard that, or oh, I forgot about that song, I'm so glad this person mentioned it, and I can come back to it.
Something I've noticed with a lot of the messages and things that you send is you end it all with gratitude and music.
Yeah, that's my salutation, or my sign off. Yeah, that kind of came, I feel like that came about. It was initially just in music. I didn't have the with gratitude, I guess. And it used to be like my sign off when I was trying to book shows for my band, like when I was in my 20s. Anytime I was like speaking to a promoter, a booking agent, or a venue, I would just be like, in music, Jared, instead of, I feel like, best or warm regards. I was like, in music feels a little bit more, I don't know, on point and who I am. And then the with gratitude just kind of came because I just feel so damn fortunate, Scott, that I can continue to play music. So I feel like being able to kind of sign off, if that's the last thing somebody sees from me, saying, thanks, and, in music, Jared. So yeah, that's kind of how that salutation came about.
Would you ever consider coming back home for Oahe days?
I've spoken about it, man. I would love to. 100%. It's June, right? Is it usually
June, July-ish?
Yeah, 100%. I don't know if I can compete with why am I drawing a blank on their name? They're like the they play at the Long Branch, or like starts with a P, I feel like. Why can't I think?
I know who you're talking about. I know exactly who you're talking about.
But anyways, I would totally consider it. I feel, and this is something that, is no fault to, the listenership of South Dakotans, but I feel like sometimes it can be tough to win a crowd over on originals alone. And I feel like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the bands that thrive at those things are the cover bands, because,
Mm-hmm.
people are wanting to have a few beers and get a little rowdy, and they're like, I want to sing along to the song and not have to learn something new.
Yeah.
But not to say I wouldn't. I mean, I would 100% come back and play, just because they do it at the band shell down at the park,
At
right?
Steamboat Park.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to play that band shell down there. And I just, with the rivers, kind of diverge
Right
or coming
there.
into the causeway, is such a beautiful sight, man. And usually, in June, it's a nice time of year in South Dakota. So 100%, I would love to. I'll have to learn probably a few covers just to satisfy the crowds. But yeah, and I what I would love to do is, there's so many talented musician friends of mine actually in South Dakota, and I'm going to give them a shout out, like Cody Henson Hullinger
Oh
is
yeah.
awesome.
Oh yeah.
Colt Hughes, which he goes by Casey Hughes. There's Katie Dwyer,
Yep.
Katie DW. Like, I would love to like kind of bring them on, so I feel like we would have like more power as a collective than just like little lonely me up there, like trying to like belt out some tunes on a guitar and sing. So I feel like if I were to do it, I would want to like round up their talent as well, and really make like a show of it, which I think would be super cool, like
Think
a super group.
they all still kind of live in the area too. So
Yeah, I stay in touch with a lot of them, and just like they're all so talented in their own right, and like I respect them as humans and musicians so much. So I would be honored if they would, if we could do like a little traveling Wilbury style up on Oahe days. That'd be pretty sick.
all right. So we have four more questions, and then you can stick around for
Yeah,
a little post show debriefing is what I like to call
yeah.
it.
Or I could do a
Um
song too if you want, whatever you're feeling, man.
oh y-
It
I
can always be a little, I guess, quality wise, like the lagginess of Zoom can sometimes make it like,
yeah.
feel a little bit like dying cow status. But I mean, if we could always give it a shot, and if it's not good, you can edit it out, I guess, if you needed to.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever you feel.
Well, I was planning on putting running up the hillside in
Oh,
after in like post production, if that's okay.
perfect, man. Yeah, that'd be amazing. Thank you.
Okay. Um, what's your favorite movie? I mean, we talked about a bunch of movies, but
Oh man. I love, I mean, yeah, the three that we spoke about, Gleaming the Cube, Airborne, and The Monster Squad. Those are all like such cult classics. I love, that's a really good question. I have the editor's cut, Cameron Crowe's editor's cut of Almost Famous on DVD. And like, I am just such a fan of Cameron Crowe in general. I think he just makes such beautiful movies, and like the way he presents it, and just like, I don't know, it just feels like you have lived that, even if you haven't. And Almost Famous, obviously, because it ties into like a lot of music aspects. Um, and Philip Seymour Hoffman in it.
mhm.
The director's cut is just like, you have all these like scenes that didn't make it in, they were left on the cutting floor for the final production that was shown in theaters. That director's cut of Almost Famous is probably my favorite movie.
The my favorite part of that movie is I think it's probably the best use ever of that song is the Tiny Dancer scene.
Oh God, so good. It's just like so iconic, man. Like, I love that song already, and like seeing it married to that scene, and just like like honestly, I know this is woo woo, but I have like goosebumps right now, like thinking
Yeah.
about it, man. It's such a beautiful scene, and like just that whole movie is, I could watch that movie like over and over again. It still holds up. Like, it was made in what, 2021 years later. Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I think it might be Kate Hudson's first movie.
You're right. I think you are right. Or at least like, yeah, I feel like you are spot on with that. And I mean,
Yeah.
there was a guy on Twitter named Eric Alper, I think is his name. And he always like, he's kind of like this music guy. I don't know exactly what the context he does, but he's always like asking like these like leading questions on Twitter. And he was just like, he's like, what actress was like so right for her role in a movie? And then like, people respond. And I was like, Kate Hudson and Almost Famous, like nobody else could have played like that role. I don't think, at least. And everybody was just like, yep, that's 100%. Yeah, Kate Hudson just in that role is just spectacular.
Well, I mean, if that is her first movie, I mean, great. Not the best first ever performance in a movie, though. You know what
Oh,
that is? You know what the best first ever movie role is?
what's that?
Alan Rickman as Hans Gruber. That was his
Oh,
first movie
that's
in Die
insane.
Hard. That's
Oh
his
my
first
God.
movie. His
That is
first movie,
Alan.
and he's the bad guy in Die Hard. And it's arguably, depending on how you feel, the best Christmas movie of all time.
You know what? I love that you say that. This kind of all ties in. You're just like hitting on so many great points, Scott. The guy who edited, my buddy, and the guy who edited Running Up the Hillside is a huge movie buff. You should actually have him on your
Okay.
show. Darren Lapari is his name, and he has a whole YouTube thing. He's a great video editor and also an actor. So like he makes these great videos, and he talks about how Die Hard is the best Christmas movie ever. And like he has like a whole kind of like sequence where he edits clips and talks over it and stuff. And it's just like, I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to write a note and send you a thing. Cause I think you should actually have him on your show. I think you and him would like really get on well, just with like your deep kind of knowledge on movies and pop culture.
There's a whole genre, I feel like, of movie that is a Christmas movie, but you don't realize it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Like if you go on Disney Plus right now, Edward Scissorhands is in the holiday collection.
Oh yeah. Is that set over Christmas time?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, it's been so long. Yeah.
Gremlins, Lethal Weapon,
Lethal Weapon. Yep.
Batman 2
With
from like
DeVito?
with the Penguin. Batman Returns, I guess.
Okay, yeah, and was it Val or Clooney on that one?
That one was Keaton.
Oh, that was still Mike. Oh, that's right. He did the first two.
Yeah,
Right.
because it was Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. Yeah, there
But
was.
yeah, that said over Christmas. I mean, I could go on, but
I love this, man. No, this is. I can't wait to send you Darren's Die Hard YouTube video that like totally like is all about Die Hard being. And I'm gonna connect you guys, man, because I think you guys would have a lot to talk about, and you'd have like you could make a whole show just about like movies and digging deep into the references and pop culture of it.
Favorite music album?
Ooh, man. I think Still Bill by Bill Withers.
Oh, okay.
So good, man.
I feel like didn't he leave us like a year ago or something like that? Like
not
recently?
long. Yeah, maybe 2019 even. It wasn't long ago. I did a kind of I guess thank you Bill memorial post and song. One of the songs I love playing by him is Use Me, because it's just got these like great, it's just like two chords. That's something I think I love, and it really resonated with Bill Withers. Is like, granted, I will never have the raw power and voice that he has, but just like the way he's able to take something kind of simple and make it profound. He talks about writing Lean on Me, and he's like, I'm not a piano player. I was like, neither am I. So just like dun, 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 just like being able to like, he's like, I just kind of did this little run up from that C note, and there it was, Lean on Me, and just like finding the message in the melody.
Interestingly enough, I feel like, because I went to like a church camp in the hills when I was like a teenager, and I think we actually sang Lean on Me during like just like random church things. But interesting you say Bill Withers, because I feel like I didn't know too much about Bill Withers and that's always the unfortunate thing. You always discover more about people after they die, I feel like.
Right. I know.
But I have a certain big podcast friend. You may know him. His name is Shaquille O'Neal.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Right on.
And at his one of his episodes, he started shortly after Bill Withers died, they started playing Lovely Day as the outro.
So beautiful. That song is just like, it's like the reference track I'm always trying to figure out how to like give homage to in like my own music. I'm like, how do I make a song that like is this just like groovy, funky, memorable and insightful and like just like that earworm that Lovely Day gets. I that's such a beautiful song. I love that tune. That's so cool. So they were playing that on Shaq has a podcast?
Yeah, well, he's on his second one right now. Yeah, I mean, it's the same name of the show, but I can get in. I can tell you about it after
Yeah,
we sign
cool.
off.
Right on.
Favorite color?
Green. Love green.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, and it's also not even because I didn't, my initial few years weren't growing up in Pierre. And for anybody listening to this knows that green is the governor's,
Yep.
I guess, color palette. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just always love green. I usually always wear a green shirt. I have green eyes. So yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, green has just always been something I really love. I'm an earth sign. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Okay. Where can people find you?
Yes. So Pink Honey Moan, that's Moan, not Moon. Pink Honey Moan. Any, socials, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook at Pink Honey Moan. There's also, I don't know if you do like show notes with this, but there's like a link tree that's kind of like my catch-all. I call it my honey pot, and that's where like kind of everything lives. Whether it's I'll upload this podcast to it, and like any sort of reviews or new music, or just kind of like a referenced catch-all to find all my stuff. And that's if you were to type in like link tree, I know there's like a period that's like weird spot in it, like LI
Yep.
period K, something like that. And then / Pink Honey Moan. But if you just were to Google it, link tree Pink Honey Moan, you could find it like that
Okay.
as well.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Scott. This was awesome.